Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacy and Phil Thompson.
And welcome again to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
Hi, my name is Steve Lacy.
We skipped a week last week because you had a bunch of family in town.
Yes, I have my oldest son got married.
Yeah, and it was a great wedding.
Yes.
Only 120 degrees outside.
Yes. It was as I mentioned earlier, it was the hottest day in 3 years here in Tucson, Arizona for our outdoor wedding.
And it was an outdoor wedding on the roof, no less.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it was a nice
something
wedding.
to talk about.
It was a nice wedding, and the food was good, too, as I mentioned here before we got on here. All right, well, he's Steve Lacy. I'm Phil Thompson. Thanks for being with us. We are a tech company that works with churches. We are called JSL Solutions. We have StreamingChurch.tv. We have ChurchAppLive.com. We have MyFlock.com. And we actually have another product called Greeter.church. And if we have time, we'll talk about those later.
All right.
Because what you want to hear today is how to grow your church in the summertime.
Yes. Summer's typically a downtime for churches because people are going on vacation, and
it can be. It can be, and it usually is. And here's my point. It is possible, I think, to at least maintain or maybe even grow a little bit if you just put some thought into it, which we're going to talk about here, and some ideas. But I really think it's possible to have a good experience in the summer. And I think it's all kind of in your head, and rightly so. I mean, summer is a good time to take vacation, if you're in ministry, those kind of things. But you can still reach people, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes.
All right. So
one quick fact we have in our notes here. 36 million Americans move every year. 36
million Americans move every year, which is pretty amazing. And summer is typically a moving season.
Yes.
Because, you got new families and they want to kind of do it while school's breaking.
Right.
And we did that ourselves when we actually moved back here to Tucson. We picked the summer to move.
Yeah, and I think most people would. If you're going to move, you say, well, when are we going to do this? Oh, let's plan it for when
especially
Johnny's out of school.
Right. And here's the deal. So new families are moving into your community in the summer, and many of them are looking for a church.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's a good opportunity to try to reach some people. And as you and I have both been working in churches for many, many years, either as volunteers or staff, we see people come in the summer. We see new people come all the time. I've got people, already coming to my church. It's their first time, and it's summertime. So they show up. People do come. So,
especially if you have we have the opposite effect here in Tucson. We lose people in the winter. Or no, we gain people in the winter, and we lose people in the summer that have vacation homes and that sort of thing.
Right.
But a lot of other parts of the country, there may be a time when they've got a lot of new people not only moving but also just coming to their summer retreat.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so 6 practical things here you can do to possibly help your church grow this summer.
Yes, so number 1 on our list.
Well, so
we talked about this.
We talked about this plan. All right, now I know this is kind of goes without saying, but I really think that you need to keep in mind that every Sunday is someone's first Sunday. And then the other thing that we say about our church is never waste a Sunday. Don't waste a Sunday experience. And so you just never know who's going to show up. And so there needs to be an expectation built into everybody that's involved in the church, volunteers as well as staff, that, there's going to be people coming, and there's going to be a lot of new people coming. And so, we need to really put in some thought, some effort into planning what we've got going on.
Right. There's what kind of came to light for me, we were focusing on the online church thing, and I was going through and updating one of our reports, our attendance detail reports, to flag the number of first-timers that are coming online for the first time. And I was very pleasantly surprised with the number of first-timers that are attending online. It was
Yeah.
it was very surprising. I was thinking, there'd be 10% first timers, but online, the number of first timers online is much higher.
Yeah, it really is. So there's people, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is. And I think psychologically we have this thing in our brains. It's summertime, so let's just kick it into auto drive or whatever. And,
everyone's going on vacation. Let's
yeah.
go on vacation.
And I think, again, I'm not against vacations. I think you need to take vacations. But I think that, if you're as a pastor is going on vacation, it doesn't mean everything just quits, delegate some things to some other people that you can rely on and trust. So anyhow, our first point is plan some new things. Try them out in the summertime, gifts for first timers, for visitors, material.
Or take a series theme that has worked really well during the year and plan it for the summer.
Yeah, so my church has done this thing called At the Movies. Your church has done it.
Probably a lot of churches have done
a lot of them. Actually, I found out that the history, our church is relatively new, but its history goes back a long ways, and they were doing it in the 90s before a lot of people were.
So what is At the Movies for those that haven't done it?
At the Movies is, generally when you get up and you talk and you do a sermon or message, you'll get up and talk, and then you'll usually use some kind of an illustration, maybe from the scripture. Most people will use some scripture. Some people will use other things to illustrate their point. Well, at the Movies, at least the way we do it, is we use a clip, a movie clip.
We take a whole movie for that
Sunday's
whole message.
Yeah. So I realize a lot of guys are now using movie clips. We've been doing it for years. You guys have too, where you just take not a random clip, but a clip that illustrates your point. Well, At the Movies it's centered on one specific movie.
Yes.
So you might have 7 or 8. I think that's a lot, but maybe 6 or 7 clips. And it's from the same movie, but it's illustrating a point.
Yeah, some biblical principle that a lot of times you look at it and go, well, how am I going to get anything out of that movie? But there's several biblical points you can take.
There's always some really good wisdom.
Yes.
That you can get in even comedies, So we always did this our church would do it in December. And they wouldn't always do Christmas movies either. They would just do it in December. Sometimes they did Christmas, sometimes they didn't, Christmas movies. But I suggested, and I've been working on this for like 3 years now, let's do it in the summer as well as December. Took a while, but I finally got my agenda pushed through, and we're doing it now during the summer months. Now, your church did it in the summer all the time.
It's a popular series. Mainly, we provide popcorn for everyone, and it's they really drum it up, and people really like it.
Well, your church, which used to be my church, always did in the summer, and I think you guys last year did it in December as well. So
That's
we kind
right.
of flip-flopped. But you guys really do a nice job because you've budgeted the resources, but you've actually made the lobby look like a movie theater.
Yes,
you've got posters from movies. Those cardboard standouts,
that you see in the movie theaters. Yeah,
you guys have done, the popcorn thing. You've set up a little concession stand.
Yes,
in the past, you guys have really done an awesome job. We don't have the budget at my church for that. We've done a little bit of it, but not like you guys have. So, yeah, it's a fun, thing, and it helps not only reach new people, but it kind of keeps some people that might be tempted to stay at home. Right. I'm going to show up.
So our first point is plan. So this is just one of the ways you plan for something in the summer.
Yeah, plan something out. I mean, put some thought into it. And what I mean by that is really brainstorm a little bit. And you might say, well, it's summer already, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. You can still sit down and plan out the rest of the summer. Plan out maybe 2 or 3 weekends. All right, let's move on.
So coordinate.
So coordinate's the second point here when we talk about growing your church in the summer. So again, summer is a great time for staff to do their vacation with family. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. But with some planning, you can avoid those Sundays, where everyone is kind of just filling in.
Yeah,
you know what I'm getting at?
3/4 of the A team are gone.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you plan this out and coordinate this thing correctly, if the lead person, the lead pastor, the lead teacher, whatever you call the person, if they're off, you probably don't want to make sure, you want to make sure if the lead guy is off or lead gal is off, you want to make sure that your next person who's like maybe your music director, your worship leader. You want to make sure they are there.
Yeah, so this ties into the planning to a certain, but it's just coordinating.
It's coordinating things off.
Family, schedules and that sort of thing.
I think what you just said at the beginning of this point is you don't want to have just the B team, the entire B team.
Right.
I don't know if we should say that, but that's the truth. I mean,
I know that I used to attend Chuck Swindoll's church in California. And it was always jam-packed. But if word got out that Chuck was not going to be speaking on Sunday, the attendance dropped dramatically. And
that can be true for many churches.
Yes.
And we don't, one of the things, my senior pastor has another job. Like all of us in our church, we're only about 100 people with the church, but we all have other jobs. I mean, my job is JSL Solutions, but I work part-time for the church. He has another job. Our senior pastor has another job where he travels a lot.
Yeah, I heard
priority management is.
I heard a stat from you. It was 85% of pastors are bivocational. Did that come from you?
I don't think it's 85%. Did it come from me? I don't know. Maybe it did.
I was amazed. It was either 80 or 85%.
Well,
of all pastors are bivocational. I thought that sounds really high, but
I don't know. We'd have to verify that stat. But I mean, this average has been floating around for a long time. The average church in the United States in America is about 70 or 80 people.
Right.
So if you're taking that stat with all those little churches, there's going to be a lot of pastors that are bivocational. So what I'm getting at is we generally don't advertise when our senior guy is gone because there's probably going to be a little bit of a drop-off.
Right.
And usually I'm the guy that's speaking when he's not there. So, you could verify that point. Yeah, there's going to be a huge drop-off when Phil Thompson speaks. But anyhow, what I'm getting at is I think you're right. Coordinating is important. And so you want to kind of make sure you spread out the vacations and you kind of make sure that, not everybody's gone at the same time, if possible, so that, you've got some lead people there that are good at what they do. And, it's a trust issue too. So, all right, let's move on.
So number 3 on our list of 6 practical steps is support.
So you can grow your church and use this opportunity in the summer to support. So give some extra help to those who are maybe teaching the kids, teaching classes, leading music, leading worship, especially those who don't do it every week. So you can spend a little bit of time equipping them, encouraging them, maybe giving them some resources, helping them prepare, helping them lead. Everybody, you want to have a really good weekend experience. And so if, during this time, you can take a little bit of time to train some people and get them kind of moving in the right direction.
Yes.
And then it will pay off. It'll pay dividends down the road a ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right.
So that's number 3 on our list. We're moving right along here. Hit the number 4.
Got to be local. So be local. So every city is different. And when it comes to summertime, that's the same way. I mean, we were just talking about this. We have snowbirds here in Tucson, Arizona during the fall season and the spring season, but they generally leave at the end of May or sooner, and they're gone until October.
Yes.
All right. So there are some changes, but depending on where you're listening from, your city's going to be different.
Right.
If you live up in Flagstaff, Arizona, you may get some visitors now that you normally wouldn't get here in June and July. And so you've got college students that come and go.
That's true.
You've got year-round schools. You've got, and so some churches, it's going to affect people differently. So I would say take advantage of your summer and play it to your advantage. Okay, so it's summer. What can you do if you do expect a drop-off in your city? What can you do to take advantage of whatever Tucson, Arizona has to offer in the summer?
Right.
Not sure what we have to offer in the summer.
Well, we could have a slip and slide service.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that that you could do some summer events, a 4th of July party.
Right.
My church is going to coordinate a 4th of July party with a band, special food. It's going to be a big event. Your church calls you guys do stuff like that at your church, and you guys, when I was working there, it used to be called the big event, I think.
Yes.
Is that what they call it?
It
The
still
big
happens.
event.
Yes.
So, we're having our own little big event. It's not as big, but it's still an event that like, we whoop it up, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to give away some stuff. We're going to have music. We're going to have whatever.
Yeah.
And
one of the things that we do here, and it's maybe more prominent than other cities. It's more prominent than I remember. But the 4th of July and fireworks shows and that sort of thing, you can organize events around just watching these fireworks events that are, you don't have to sponsor your own, but if your church is close to one, you can take advantage of it.
That's right. You can leech off somebody else's. Absolutely. Yes. So just, whatever your city or whatever your town or your community does. I mean, back in the Midwest, when I was pastoring in Kansas, we had a lot of parades. For Memorial Day parade, 4th of July parade. So you can kind of fit that in and make that work, make that an event or something. Mm-hmm. If you have these little towns have these parades, and a lot of people show up for them. It's fun. I mean, the sidewalks are lined up in Chapman, Kansas, and your church can maybe be afloat in the parade. And we've done that before, And so it's just those little things can stimulate and bring some excitement. And, it also attracts some new people.
Right. So look at your, what do they call it? Your tourism bureau's calendar for the summer and see what you might be able to leverage off of.
I think so. I think it's definitely something to consider. All right. Moving along, because we both have to skedaddle pretty soon. Kind of moving towards what the last point was, make it special.
Yes. Point number 5.
So this is point number 5, make it special. So the point of this thing is to do some things to give people a reason to come.
Yes.
Kind of fits in a little bit with what we just talked about, but do some kind of a special Sunday. Promote maybe kids, maybe if you can secure a guest speaker that is fairly well known or people may know of him or her. Perhaps do special baptisms.
Or, as I mentioned earlier, do a special series that's always a big hit.
Yeah, something in the summer that might attract people. I mean, a series on marriage, a series on sex, something like that tends to perk some ears up to some people. Whatever it might be, make it special. That's the idea. So, again, this takes a little bit of planning, takes a little bit of coordinating, takes some thought. But if you do it, you can see some results. And you can draw some people in.
All right. And our last point.
Our last point is the point number 6, invest. So you want to invest. So use a slightly less crowded calendar to pour into your people, your leaders, your volunteers. These are people that, are kind of the backbone of your church, even your staff, Now, I know it's summer and I know it's vacations, but you could still do some things if you coordinate it to equip them, to help motivate them, especially volunteers, and maybe celebrate. You and I were just kind of talking about this during lunch. It's easy sometimes to, take advantage of volunteers if you're not careful.
Or take them for granted, yes.
Take them for granted, and because, they're coming, especially maybe people that are retired or semi-retired. And it's easy to say, let's see if Joe Smo can do this. He's coming in anyhow to change the filters. Maybe he will, change this out and fix this, So take some time to celebrate maybe your volunteers in the summer. Make a big summer event. Maybe make it in the evening or something. I don't know, but or during your Sunday morning presentation, you could do something like that. And just kind of make it where, it's you're investing. So when you do this, not only are you kind of making things a little special, making the service a little different, but you're also recognizing people and you're investing in those people because everybody needs appreciation. Everybody needs encouragement. I don't know anybody yet that has told me, stop encouraging me. I don't need encouragement. Everybody wants encouragement, and you can invest in people by, helping them in whatever area that they're involved in your church. So my point is I really think summer does not have to be a huge drop off. I think you can put some energy And this isn't part of the points, but you know what? You could, if you've got some talented people on your staff or somebody coming up the ranks, maybe you can say, hey, look, I want you to be in charge of summer. Come up with some creative ideas to do in the summer. And I realize it's this podcast, it's June. What is this? June 7th? What is today? But it's all, the summer is already hitting us, but you could still take this opportunity to release some new leadership or some fresh ideas and delegate some things to see people. Say, hey, what can we do this summer or maybe next summer that could maybe make this church a little more special for somebody, a little more fresh for new people or the regular people that are coming, So it doesn't have to be a wasted season.
Yes.
That's the idea.
All right. So these are our 6 tips for growing your church in the summer.
Yeah, and there's even some other things on our blog, newmediaministries.tv, that we put on last week. We didn't do the podcast. We put an article on last week, again, dealing with summer. So if you have some ideas for us or disagree with some of this or maybe can add to this, we would love to hear from you. How do they get a hold of us, Steve?
It's support@StreamingChurch.tv is probably one of the best ways, or if you go to StreamingChurch.tv, has all our contact info there. Yeah,
you can certainly do that. That's one of our companies. We do streaming video. We also do mobile apps, churchapplive.com. Mobile apps are a great tool for your church. Lots of different things the mobile app can do. And we even have church management tools available.
Yes.
Through myflock.com. And last but not least, it's greeter.church.
Yes, exactly.
What is that?
Greeter.church is an online, real live greeter for your church website.
Yeah. So if you want more information on how that works, just type it in your browser, greeter.church.
That is correct.
And it'll take you to the website. You can learn more about it. All right, so I guess we're done here, right?
We are done.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for spending a little bit of time with us today on the Church Solutions Podcast. His name is Steve Lacy. I'm Phil Thompson. We will catch you next time on another edition of what is it?
Church Solutions Podcast.
Church Solutions Podcast. I get too mixed up. Take care, folks. Have a nice day.